New at 10, the Arizona Attorney General's office is now involved in the investigation into Emily Pike's disappearance and death. This comes after the San Carlos Apache Tribal Council and State Senator Karen Warner requested their involvement. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
And I'm Troy Hayden. Mark's off tonight. This case is terrible and mysterious. A young girl found dismembered, and there are very few leads into who did this. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono is live with new developments on the case tonight. Bianca?
Yeah, well, in a couple of weeks, there will be a hearing here at the Capitol to discuss group home regulations in light of Emily Pike's death, something Senator Warner believes will lead to necessary change.
Just an absolute senseless death.
Like everyone who has heard about what happened to 14-year-old Emily Pike, State Senator Karen Warner was horrified.
We just have to do better for our kids that are in care.
Which is why she's calling for a probe of Arizona DCS group home regulations. Pike was murdered and her body dismembered after running away from a Mesa group home where the beloved San Carlos Apache tribal member had been living. Her murder remains unsolved.
I immediately just knew that we needed to take action to come up with some solutions.
Warner has also called on the Arizona Attorney General's office to investigate. And on Thursday, 12 News obtaining correspondence showing that's happening. Letters from AG Chris Mays to Warner and to the San Carlos Apache Tribal Council stating her office is providing investigative assistance to both Gila County and the FBI. As that investigation continues, Warner has met with both DCS and tribal leaders to try and understand why group home residents go missing and the policies and procedures for when they do.
When you have a child who's a tribal member and they go into a DCS care, there's a breakdown in the communication and the sharing of information.
Information like the child's background and needs. Details that are critical when it comes to establishing appropriate care.
That would be something that would be very helpful in coming out of this committee that we could put into either legislation or a policy.
DCS has also launched its own licensing inquiry into the Mesa group home where Pike lived. But the problem of minors going missing or running away from DCS care is not isolated to one facility. Data shows as of December, there are 17 children in DCS care who are missing or abducted, and 93 children on runaway status, 35 who ran away from group homes.
Those things shouldn't be happening.
This won't be the first time the legislature has held an oversight hearing relating to group homes. Less than 3 years ago, a similar oversight hearing was held after a teen shot and killed another resident at a group home in Phoenix.
How would you respond to Arizonans that are frustrated by that there hasn't been action taken or that we're still experiencing issues with group homes?
That was part of the reason why this committee hearing is so important to me, because we do need to put real solutions to the problems. And I don't know what happened after the hearings for that particular incident, but obviously whatever that was, it didn't work.
And I did speak with the CEO of the group home where Emily Pike lived today. She said she would like to participate in that upcoming hearing. Guys?
Yeah, the group home issue is tough, right? Because you've got a collection of people who are at risk, these young people at risk of running away and doing all sorts of things. So what do we know specifically about Emily's case? Because to me, it just seems baffling that it seems like we know nothing about who they're looking for.
Reminder on Troy, and I spoke with the Gila County Sheriff's Office earlier today. A couple of updates that I wanted to give you. So far, they still don't have any suspects or persons of interest at this point. One thing that they noted is that they are in the process or have already drafted search warrants for all major social media companies to try and get any communication that Emily Pike may have had prior to her death. Also to note, although there was a preliminary autopsy that was done, they still don't know the exact cause of Emily Pike's death. The encouraging news in all of this is that they do still continue to get new leads and tips coming in. Troy.
With those warrants, come up with something. Bianca, thank you for the report.
New at 10, a dog owner is now facing a manslaughter charge after his dogs attacked a man in Tucson. It happened early Sunday morning. Pima County Sheriff's deputies responded to a distress call and found 43-year-old Kevin Rangel injured in the street. He later died of his injuries. Investigators say that he was attacked by 5 dogs that had escaped the property of 60-year-old Martin Martinez. They add that the dogs had a history of aggression and had previously attacked another neighbor. Martinez was arrested and is now facing several felony charges. We are learning some new details about a crash involving a DPS trooper that we first told you about last night at 10. The crash happened on the I-10 near Verrado Way in Buckeye. DPS says that a trooper was parked on the dirt shoulder about 20 feet away from the highway filling out some paperwork. That is when a car hauler veered off of the road and then slammed into the back of the trooper's patrol truck, pushing it another 60 feet off of the highway. The trooper was taken to the hospital for head injuries, but he is expected to survive. The other driver was arrested for DUI and other related felony charges.
An elderly woman from New Mexico is taking legal action against the city of Glendale and the Camelback Ranch Baseball Stadium after she was injured at a Dodgers spring training game. Her name's Yolanda Garcia, and she says she was at the game March 12th when a stack of chairs, you can see some of them on the ground here, suddenly fell on top of her as she walked by them on the concourse. She had to leave the game in a wheelchair, and she ended up needing a knee replacement. Garcia feels the staff at Camelback Ranch was negligent.
They were plastic chairs, so they really came down tumbling fast. He said, "I told y'all not to pile them so high." You know, he yelled that out loud at them. And, and from there, they were starting to pull the chairs back and put them back up.
We reached out to the city of Glendale for comment. They told 12 News they will not comment on active lawsuits. Camelback Ranch has not responded to our request for a comment either.
Now to Washington, D.C., where the fallout continues from the White House's new round of sweeping tariffs. Tonight, we're getting a closer look at just how much it could affect the average American. The nonpartisan Tax Foundation says that the new tariffs announced yesterday will cost the average household $2,100 per year. America's average import tax will surge to 19% this year from 2.5% last year. That is the highest rate since 1933.
If you buy avocados, if you buy Modelo beer, if you buy literally anything, if you go to the toy store and you're looking for toys for your children, you go to Walmart, you're looking to buy toys for your children, prices are going to rise because these are goods that are imported into this country that American consumers rely on.
Many economists agree that the U.S. and global economies will go into a recession this year if Trump doesn't loosen up on his new trade policy. However, the White House is pushing back on those predictions. Officials argue that Trump's trade actions in his first term were widely predicted to slow the economy and make inflation spike, but neither happened.
In Tempe, a protest at ASU after 8 students had their student visas revoked. ASU confirmed that those 8 students lost their visas over the past few weeks, but didn't say anything else about the cases because of student privacy rules. This has happened across the country, and the State Department is not commenting on why. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the federal government has pulled the visas of about 300 students nationwide, and a large number of them were protesters.
Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa.
They've been saying for a while now that they were going to be deporting students, international students who had been protesting for Palestine. We don't know if the students here were involved with that or not.
But the rules on this are fairly broad. The State Department can revoke a student visa if a student's been charged with anything like underage drinking, all the way up to more serious crimes. It can also revoke a visa if they consider a student a threat or if they think they could cause an issue with foreign policy.